What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Padawan Podcast, Apocalypse Movies All Star Wars podcast, where we geek out on everything from the galaxy far, far away. I'm your host, Jake Berlin, aka Qui-Gon Jake, and I am joined today by the full table. First up, Jacob Barley, aka Grandma Barley. How's it going, man?
What's going on? 6 days till Rogue One.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait.
Also joined by Gio Ramos, aka C3Gio. What's going on, man?
Greetings. Will C-3PO be in Rogue One? We'll see.
I'm sure there's a good chance of that. So
maybe at the end.
Yeah, so we got about 6 days until Rogue One. By this time next week, we will have seen the film. We have 1 a.m. showing Thursday night.
Woo.
Will
Tarkin be in Rogue One? That's a question, too.
I think he will be.
Yeah, especially after...
Catalyst?
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, well, we're going to jump right in. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about, a bunch of movie news. We've kind of had a hiatus here for Padawan, so we're kind of going to run through a bunch of stuff. First up, Rogue One sequel possibilities. We're starting off the show with some expected news. While most of us have kept up the hope of Rogue One getting a sequel, it's officially not happening. In Empire Magazine's spread of next week's first ever Star Wars spinoff, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy made it very clear that a sequel, which she jokingly refers to as Rogue 2, will not happen. Many involved in the film have continuously said that the film is and always was intended to be a self-contained single film, with director Gareth Edwards even joking that if a sequel were to ever be made, it would be directed by George Lucas, aka A New Hope. So, Jacob, did these comments just spoil the ending of Rogue One for us all?
I mean, I think we could already expect this. Mm-hmm. Like, we know what happens right after this movie, A New Hope. So if they were to make a sequel, when would it take place?
Yeah.
In this team on a mission after A New Hope, like it wouldn't make sense really, unless you're going to follow Jyn Erso on whatever she does. But it just wouldn't make sense. It makes more sense for this to be just tell this story. And I like how they say self-contained when it's part of this whole big universe. It's not really self-contained, but it doesn't have to have a direct sequel to this movie. I actually love that there's going to be no sequel to it. First of all, they have so many more movies that they have to make. Second of all, it wouldn't make sense. So I'm glad to hear this, actually.
Yeah, and I think that a sequel, it would be odd to find out when it would take place, how it would take place. But I think Rogue One was always meant to be a testing ground for these anthology movies. So it was kind of like they said, a self-contained single film to test the waters for these spin-off movies, and then eventually go into the Han Solo movies or the ObiWan movies or whatever it is for these spin-offs. So it kind of makes sense that this would be their first anthology movie, and then it would be a single film. I don't think it needs a sequel. Obviously, the sequel is A New Hope, and especially with a few weeks ago, there were rumors coming out that said that the ending of the film ends within like 15 minutes of A New Hope.
Exactly, yeah.
So that kind of just, it says that, hey, there is no sequel. So, Gio, what do you think, man?
Yeah, this is pretty obvious. There's not going to be a sequel for Rogue One. Whether that means all the characters die at the end of the movie remains to be seen. So I think a prequel would be more likely. But I feel like this movie is going to kind of touch on Jyn Erso as a child. We saw in the trailer, her and her dad. I forget his name.
Galen.
Galen, yeah, being found by Krennic. So you guys know these names better than I do.
Well, so we'll touch on that later, because all of what you're talking about right now,
quite a bit about
is
these
in the
characters.
book Catalyst.
Okay,
so we'll touch on
there's not going to be
later.
no Rogue One. Give me a Obi-Wan or even a Darth Maul anthology.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Or a Obi-Wan and Darth Maul movie.
Yeah, So I will.
Well, I'll tell you what I wouldn't mind seeing though is some of these characters popping up in another anthology film. After reading Catalyst, I hope Jyn Erso survives.
So do I.
This movie, and I hope that we see her again in another anthology movie, not a Rogue One sequel, just the character being involved somehow, because I've kind of became attached to the Ersos as a family.
Oh, big time.
I want that lineage, or just her character at least, to continue. I think that's a possibility.
I agree. So, now that we talk about the sequel and the sequel not happening, whatever, is everyone or most of these rebels / major characters gonna die in this movie?
God, I hope so. Like, I don't want Lucasfilm to hold back, or any of that kind of stuff. Show us the tragedy of war. Show us the sacrifice that these guys made to get the Death Star plans to Princess Leia. Show us their heroic, their courage, and all that kind of stuff. Don't sugarcoat it. I want to see some stuff happen.
I think some of them are gonna die, but I think they don't all have to die for their story to end in this world. Like there can be some like little goals that each of them are trying to do, are just and some of them just go off and have a happy ending. On their own, exactly. Like we helped lead to the destruction of the Death Star. That's all these characters. That's all their purpose was in this universe that we needed to see. So some of them can survive and go off and do their own thing, but I think there's going to be some terrible bad endings for some of these characters for sure.
All right, well, sticking with the spinoff, how the idea of the Star Wars spinoff has always been a question many of us want answered. Where or who did it come from? Well, in Entertainment Weekly's recent issue-wide spread on everything Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy revealed that the initial idea of the anthology films actually came from George Lucas. She said, "George talked to me about doing this when I first came aboard. He had often thought about doing it, and he had actually written down 3 or 4 thoughts and ideas, directions you can go. Obviously, inside the mythology, there were lots of opportunities, so that was the first conversation I had. We had talked a lot about the Jedi and the foundational ideas that George had thought about when he created the mythology. It was sort of spitballing ideas. With Lucas no longer involved creatively, the question now becomes, who has all those ideas?" So I'll take this one first. It's interesting, the fact that in 2012 he sold everything Star Wars to Disney. Maybe Rogue One first popped up then. We know that the idea of Rogue One actually came from a creative executive inside the ILM, which is the huge visual effects company from Lucasfilm, and who worked with George Lucas on the prequels. So maybe he got the idea from George Lucas, but the fact that these spin-off ideas still came from the creator is pretty cool, and he's still involved a little bit. We know he's not involved creatively, and he may give pointers here and there, and everyone's going to listen, obviously, but it is pretty cool to hear that he still has a hand in this franchise, no matter how much turmoil he's gone through the last decade or so with the prequels and everything else. So I love these comments. I love hearing that he's involved just a little bit as far as maybe an idea here or there. So I think it's actually pretty cool. So Gio, you actually wrote up this for the site. So what do you think about it, man?
Oh man, George, man, it's so easy to hate on this guy, for all the prequels and all the stuff that he got, wrong. But once again, this guy, there's a reason why he's so loved and looked up to by, so many people in the industry. And it's because of his ideas, and the Rogue One anthology and all the whole idea of an anthology is a brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. Whether it works out remains to be seen. We all think it will, but I just hope that George Lucas, on his free time, is just secretly writing down a bunch of ideas on like a little journal or something, and one day he passes it off to Kathleen Kennedy, and she can just kind of pick and
J.J.
Abrams or whoever. Yeah. So, but man, this is just another example of just how brilliant George is as a creator. I'm calling him George like I know him, but
we all know him, man. He gave us the best thing ever.
Yeah,
in Star
it's
Wars.
Interesting because she said that he had actually written down 3 or 4 thoughts and ideas. Mm-hmm. Were those the actual anthology movies they're doing now, or are there some things in the process that he thought about going forward? So,
yeah, I think that Kathleen Kennedy has all of these, and Lucasfilm.
I think so too.
Whoever works at Lucasfilm,
when they sold it, he had to
it's part of it. He doesn't. I don't think he had to, but I think he did. And I think they nitpick from his ideas, and they take the best ideas and leave some of the things that they'd rather not do. And I'm assuming I don't think Rogue One was his idea.
No, I think because I think it was part who I mentioned. I forget his name, Jeff Loeb or something like that.
I don't think Rogue One was in this. Oh, somebody brought up.
It was the first draft. It was the ILM supervisor or something. He brought up the idea to Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I do think maybe the ObiWan movie, George Lucas maybe had that in mind. Maybe the Boba Fett movie, and maybe Knights of the Old Republic. I think some of those ideas were probably his, and I'm glad. I mean, as much as people bag on the prequels, I've been rewatching them lately, and I still love those movies no matter what. And
there's some great things in there.
They're really in all three of them. There's some great things in it. And I've been watching Clone Wars too, and he was involved in Clone Wars.
I think he was the executive producer.
I mean, he was involved in all of it, and I've been watching season 5 lately, and that season is great. So, and then, of course, some of the ideas in The Force Awakens were some of his too. Like, they always have been nitpicking from his ideas, and I think they always will. And this is just good to know, because he still gets to feel involved somehow. Like, if they do an Obi-Wan and they involve certain story elements that he brought up, he'll be like, he'll feel good knowing that.
Well, that's like his character.
Exactly.
From the originals and prequels. So.
Exactly. So, this is good. Nothing but good news.
All right, well, sticking with the George Lucas train, Gareth Edwards' highly anticipated Star Wars spinoff is now just a week away, which means many people who are part of the Lucasfilm family as well as critics will get a chance to see the film. Last week, Edwards revealed that the creator, George Lucas, not only visited the set of Rogue One, but actually watched the film. Edwards said the following about Lucas's reaction. So 2 days ago, we got to show George the movie, and we all had a phone call, and I got to speak with him yesterday. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I can honestly say that I can die happy now. He really liked the movie, so it meant a lot. To be honest, and no offense to anyone here, it was the most important review to me. Edwards continued by saying, I will take that conversation to my grave. It was a real privilege. His opinion means the world to me. Gio, first off, what do you think about Lucas's reaction to the film? And 2, is Gareth Edwards living every fanboy's dream?
Let me answer the second question first. Yeah, he is. Come on now. Like, when you get a chance to make a Star Wars movie and then the guy himself tells you, that said good things. We don't know exactly what he said, but
good enough to where he can die now.
He can die happy. Like, that's got to be like the best feeling in the world.
For sure.
And as far as what did he say about The Force Awakens?
He liked the movie, but he was upset that his story got twisted. His original story got twisted. A New Hope, basically. They kind of played off of that.
I have a feeling that this one he
appreciated more.
He appreciates more. Mm-hmm. What happened? How we're getting like a different tone, a different like a war, more of a war gritty movie. And so, this is great news. Any Star Wars fan, this should raise your, anticipation, your excitement for Rogue One, and for myself, it does.
Yeah, I think that the comments are awesome. I think that, I wish we would know what he exactly said, but the fact that Edward said that he can die happy now is a great sign. I agree with everything you said as far as it's an original story, something he would have wanted to see. He obviously had ideas for the saga movies going forward, and so maybe him getting to know someone who made a movie that's outside of his original story is something he loves. But I think it's great. They're great comments, and just again seeing that he's still involved in all of this is really cool to see. So.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear this, because I feel like this is genuine. Gareth Edwards has no reason to exaggerate this or lie about it. He didn't tell us what George Lucas said. He just said how it made him feel, and to say that you can die happy, that's that's like the biggest praise you can give something or hearing something like that. So, this gives me, and George Lucas liking the film doesn't mean it's good.
Well, look at the prequels.
Exactly. So, but the fact that he does, it makes me happy that George Lucas likes the movie. Because
it's still his baby.
He's the creator of all this. Darth Vader's in this movie. Yes. Come on now. And if he's satisfied with what they did with Vader, then I'm sure I will be satisfied too.
Exactly.
So I love hearing this.
All right, well, sticking with Rogue One, but moving away from George Lucas. For our next story, while it won't spoil any major character or plot details, it will spoil a quite exciting cameo appearance in Rogue One. If you don't want to be spoiled, we recommend fast-forwarding until the Padawan logo pops up on the screen. You've been warned. With the film just around the corner, the marketing has really been amped up lately, releasing TV spots and clips like wildfire. But as one of the more recent spots was released, Star Wars fans everywhere slowed down the footage and caught a special appearance by none other than the ghost ship from Star Wars Rebels. Nothing has been revealed about the cameo other than the footage, but it seems that Rebels Ghost crew will be taking part in the Battle of Scarif, at least for that single moment. Gio, 1, are you excited for at least a small Rebels cameo in Rogue One? And 2, what does this mean for future Star Wars brand crossovers?
For a moment, I thought you were going a different route. 'Cause I heard some other stuff, and I'm like, no way. You guys are talking about the Rogue One spoilers and stuff. Like, I don't believe it. All right. Anyways, does it surprise me? Is that your...
Does it, so, well, 1, do you like it? Does it excite you and surprise you? And 2...
Do I like it? Yes.
And, well, 2, does it, like, what does it mean for the future of Star Wars brand crossovers as far as TV shows and movies go?
It means they're not going to do what Marvel is doing right now, and they're going to incorporate everything, the TV, the movies, and all that kind of stuff. No offense to Marvel. You guys understandably are doing a good thing. But as far as this one goes, like, you know, it's exciting, especially because, you know, there's long wait times between these movies.
Yeah.
So what are we watching? We're
Rebels.
doing comics. We're doing the
Books,
TV shows,
yeah.
the books, all that kind of stuff. And to see this stuff in there, it's so rewarding because it's like, what do we all really want? We all really want to see these things in the movies. And the fact that we're seeing these things in the movies not only gets us excited, but it gives us even more hope that we might see some of these characters. I mean, obviously, we're seeing Forrest Whitaker's character.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know
Again,
his
from
name.
the Clone Wars, yeah.
Yeah.
Saw
So-
Gerrera.
Again, like, as a fan, this should make you so excited. I've seen a little bit of Rebels. I recognize the ship. It's definitely exciting. So, yeah.
Man, I don't
This is
even know
awesome.
about this until right now.
It's awesome.
I don't even know what to say. That's so amazing. I wonder. I don't know if I want it only to be just the ship
Just an appearance.
there. So
Yeah.
just the ship.
Yeah.
Like nothing else. No characters. It's just we're just gonna see their ship. So it's just implying that they were there. So does that mean they make it this far, or at least some of them?
Well, see, that's the question I was thinking, because if we only see the ship, we don't know who's piloting it.
Exactly.
And 2, if they do show who's piloting, it could have great effects on the TV show as far as where it goes
That's
down
true.
the line.
So they're only gonna show the ship.
I think it's just going to be the
yeah,
ship.
you're absolutely right because they're not gonna mess with
Because this could be like
TV show.
could be like if they show, you know, they say something about maybe Hera passing away or dying, then we're gonna be like, oh, when did she die on the show?
Exactly. Or like they could have this in the movie, just the ship, and then they can go up to this point in Rebels and
Yes.
like show this battle on Rebels. Like how awesome would that be? So while I would love to see the actual characters, this just tickles my heart.
Imagine
I'm
seeing
so
Kanan
excited.
in this movie, dude.
I want Freddie Prinze Jr. to play him.
That would be awesome.
I want Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah,
to
I
do
agree.
it.
I agree with that.
Isn't Kanan blind right now or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's awesome.
No, I agree, but I was just like, I'm just curious.
I think they're gonna keep.
I'm so disappointed in myself that I've only watched episode 1 of this season. So far.
Yeah, so I'm on Jacob's level. This is like, it's just so giddy to see it in the actual movie,
Oh my God.
a live action version of the Ghost Ship. You know, I do think that it's just going to be that image of the ship. It's not going to, you know, it's going to be something in the background that people who know the shows, they're going to notice. You know, if they did show the characters, the biggest thing would be, you know, the fate of Ezra, or if he's still there, if he's not there, you know, what happened to him, because that's the big thing going on in the show. But I think it's just awesome to see it. It builds better options down the road. Like we've been having huge conversations as far as Ahsoka Tano goes, and maybe her possibilities in live action. Having the Ghost Ship appear in a live action movie maybe raises the possibilities of her getting some kind of cameo or movie down the line.
I hope so.
Yeah, so I think it just raises the opportunities for Lucasfilm in general to do everything with their properties and do live action and animation and bring it all together. So I think it's really cool. All right, well, moving on from Rogue One, we're going to talk a little ObiWan Kenobi. With Rogue One almost being released, much of the conversation has been which spin-off story could they tell next after young Han Solo, with many of the fingers pointing directly at ObiWan Kenobi. And while the possibility of Kenobi getting his own spin-off is still very likely, a new rumor indicates we could see him much earlier than that. Via Geek Tyrant, while visiting the Rebel Force radio podcast, EW writer Anthony Bresnikan suggested the reason Kenobi doesn't have his own spin-off yet is because of the following. I have heard rumors that the reason they haven't moved sooner on Obi-Wan is that they're not done with Obi-Wan quite yet in the saga films. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an Obi-Wan solo film happen beyond episode 9. All right, Jacob. How you feeling about the Obi-Wan Kenobi comments, man?
Well, you both know that ObiWan Kenobi is my favorite character, and my number one choice for a spin-off film would be a Ewan McGregor-led ObiWan Kenobi film with Ahsoka as his sidekick in the film, which would be crazy.
Versus Darth Maul.
But yeah, exactly.
That'd be crazy.
And then I won't get ahead of myself. But this makes sense though, because if they're gonna wait, so Han Solo comes out in between 8 and
2019.
9. Okay, so
No,
yeah.
2018. Excuse me, 2018.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
Yeah, 2017 is episode 8 next year.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this makes sense because if you're gonna have Obi-Wan, I don't know how he's gonna fit in the saga films.
Force Ghost
with
Luke.
Ewan McGregor, Force Ghost. There you go. But that doesn't mean that the next anthology film can't be Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I think that would make more sense. You get to see him in episode 8 or 9, and then the following year after episode 9, you get an Obi-Wan Kenobi spin-off film. Also, I don't mind if they wait a little bit because you'll get a little taste of him in the saga films, and then 3-4 years later,
McGregor will be older.
You get that Obi-Wan movie, and I just listening to bits and pieces of the Ahsoka novel that incorporated Obi-Wan, and then reading some of the Obi-Wan, the Star Wars number 20 comic,
number 20,
where it showed him on Tatooine looking over Luke. Reading stuff like that and wondering what's up with Darth Maul. Does he make it that far to be able to interact with Obi-Wan? All of those things get me so excited for the possibility, and this does make sense for them to maybe hold off a little bit on it if he is involved in the saga films.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a Force Ghost in episode 8 would make huge sense. He's a father figure to Luke, so having Luke still communicate him would make huge sense. As well as Yoda, maybe the three of them are kind of just shacking up together on that island for the past so many years. But I think that him getting his own spin-off movie down the road also makes sense. It would be a great introduction into an older Obi-Wan Kenobi from Ewan McGregor. A lot of people know him from the prequels, and then bring him back into the fold a little bit in a Force Ghost role in the saga films, and then give him his own spin-off movie or series down the line. I think either way, we're going to see an Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan at some point. I think it's inevitable at this point. He's just been in the news so much regarding Obi-Wan Kenobi, so it just makes complete sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with you both. Look, Luke Skywalker, he's not in a good place right now, all right? We saw him at the end of episode 7. He looked all grizzly and roughed up, He tried doing a new generation of Jedi. That failed. Mm-hmm. Now he's in exile. I'm sure he's not alone. I'm sure he's talking with Obi-Wan, about what do I do? I thought I would lead the new next generation of Jedi, and I've pretty much destroyed it all. And so we're definitely going to see more Obi-Wan, because right now, when we finally get to see more of Luke Skywalker, it won't be a very happy Luke Skywalker. He's going to be, damaged. He's going to be, unsure of himself, and he's going to look to both Obi-Wan and the previous rumors said Yoda to a certain extent.
Maybe even his father.
He's going to need that guidance, and it's going to be great to see Obi-Wan back again in the saga film. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, one thing we actually haven't talked about is, and we keep bringing it up again, but the fact that Obi-Wan could possibly be related to Rey. Maybe that's how he appears.
I hope so.
I mean,
I'm leaning, even though it's the thing that I want the most, I'm starting to believe that's the case.
Yeah, because it seems like that's now what the conversation is kind of shifting towards, is her.
Yeah, I don't think she's Luke's daughter.
Yeah, her being some kind of Kenobi.
She mentioned in a recent interview that we might have already seen.
Yeah, she goes I think her parents were in The Force Awakens.
It's Obi-Wan. I'm telling you, I'll put money on that.
So
right now.
because he had that, he
had
talked
the little
to her.
tiny voice.
Yeah, so and she thought that people would know who her parents were based after seeing the film.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'll be so happy if it is.
That'd be crazy. That would be crazy. All right. Well, sticking with a little bit of Force Awakens stuff. One of the more intriguing questions J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens left us with was who the hell Supreme Leader Snoke is. As of right now, we know He's the all-powerful leader of the First Order, and he's played by Andy Serkis via motion capture. But other than that, he's a mystery. Rian Johnson's Episode 8 will feature a ton of more Snoke, possibly even a backstory. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we might now have an idea as to what he will look like. According to MakingStarWars.net, Snoke will be brought to life through practical effects with a 7 or 8 foot tall puppet operated by several people. While it's great to see these films use more and more practical effects like the original trilogy, I think most of us were looking forward to seeing Andy Serkis bring this character to life through motion capture technology. Gio, you wrote up this article for the site. What are your thoughts on Snoke being brought to life through practical effects and not motion capture?
Oh, I think it's great to a certain extent. Now, we all remember when we saw that behind the scenes, The Force Awakens, to see how so many people were involved in bringing these creatures to life. I am totally for that. I support it. I think it's great that they're doing it for Snoke. However, I think we will see a little bit of his character CGI if Snoke is.
I think it'll be both.
Action,
yeah, I think it'll be both.
But again, it's great to see that Lucasfilm is continuing to stand by their commitment for more practical effects. We now know he's 7 or 8 feet, so maybe that hologram of him 80 feet or however tall that hologram was.
Tall, yeah.
Wasn't an exaggeration. This guy is big. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, to keep that in mind, the hologram, we only saw him in hologram form, which required motion capture. So maybe the idea behind him was to always do the puppet, that we just didn't get a chance to because we actually never saw him in person. So I like the idea of a practical effect, a puppet, but at the same time, like you said, Gio, if he's involved in stuff, he needs to be some kind of CG, motion capture, whatever it is.
Him versus Luke.
Yeah, because I like the whole puppet and practical effects stuff like J.J. Abrams did for The Force Awakens, but at the same time, it just looks better if it's CGI or motion capture.
And
go ahead. It goes with the flow a little bit more. So
I was gonna say, like, it's so obvious to tell when a CGI character is CGI. Like, when it's bad, it's bad.
So maybe it'll be a mixture.
I think exactly it's going to be a hybrid. I think Andy Serkis is still going to do the facial motion capture for him, just because it's a puppet. I think even with the puppet, they'll find a way to have Andy Serkis be doing like the facial expressions and all that for the actual face. And I'm not neither for or against this. I understand going back to practical effects and making it feel real, but at the same time, you need to get with the times and just use the technology that's available to you. So I'd be down for either one. I do still think Andy Serkis is going to be behind that face, though, in mocap.
Yeah, it was funny because in this same article that I found, they were talking about how when George Lucas visited the set of Rogue One, he told Gareth Edwards jokingly to build more stuff on the computer and not build as much stuff in real life. Just as a kind of a joke.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, like, the best directors, they use CGI as a tool. Granted, George Lucas got a little carried away, but he's been waiting for decades to use this stuff.
Yeah,
so
he was,
understandably
for sure.
so.
For sure. All right, well, on to the future of Star Wars. Although Star Wars movies are currently planned through 2019, for some reason we are already questioning the future of the franchise. In the same EW spread I mentioned earlier, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy was asked about its future, hinting that the saga films could eventually come to an end. Quote, "That's a conversation going on right now too. I have to honestly tell you, could we do nothing but standalone? Sure, but I don't know. We are looking at all of that." I'll go and start this one off. I think it's a huge possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they have through at least 12 planned. I think we'll see another trilogy after this, just because I think the popularity of characters like Rey and Poe and Finn are just too high to not do, even Kylo Ren. But I think at some point, if the Skywalker saga or original episode saga kind of runs its course, we could see a franchise of all spin-off movies or anthology movies, which would not be a terrible idea, because technically a Knights of the Old Republic would be considered an anthology movie. So I do not hate these comments. At the same time, I don't think it'll actually happen, but I'm not opposed to it. So
no, the Star Wars saga films are like a soap opera.
Yeah,
it'll go on and on and on and on and on.
In one way or another.
And for some people that'll be annoying, but for most people, that's exciting. So I can't see the saga films ending. I could see them taking a break, like somebody on Collider suggested. Like take a little,
like a 5-year gap,
gap. Focus on some anthology films. Because these fans, us, we want to see these films right now. We want to see Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, hell, maybe even the Qui-Gon movie. So I could definitely see them taking a break, but nah.
There's no way possible that they're ever going to end the saga films. That is the heart and soul of the Star Wars franchise. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see a different anthology Star Wars film every year and then sequels to those movies, but it would nowhere near be. It would not near be as satisfying as seeing this saga continue. And they did not cast all of these actors so young
for 3
movies. Just for 3 movies, or even another 6 movies, whatever. They can have Rey and Finn and Poe and
for years,
and Kylo Ren for 12 movies if they wanted to, and why not? But I do think they are going to take breaks. I don't think we're going to see every other year. We're going to see 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's not going to happen. They're going to end 9, take a 3 to 5 year break, let these actors get older, and then let some mystery grow, some time in between these movies, and then bring us back. And then, because whether it's A New Hope or The Force Awakens, you always don't really know what's going on. Like, everything's a mystery, and it gets unveiled through the trilogy. So you want time for that mystery to grow. But and in that time, in that break, give me 5 anthology films, and that's awesome. But the saga will never end. Whether or not it heavily focuses on the Skywalkers is a different story, but I do think it'll never end, and I do think the Skywalkers will always be involved with it. I don't want Kylo Ren to die anytime soon. I don't want him to die in Episode 9. I think keep him a villain, keep him bad. He doesn't have to redeem himself, but have Snoke get whacked off, and whoever Benicio del Toro is, and other people, but keep Kylo Ren alive. Leave him like the last lingering hope for the First Order or the dark side to stay around, and that in that sense you keep the Skywalker story around, because I don't think Rey's a Skywalker. So, but the saga will never end.
All right, well, that'll wrap up our movie news portion of the show. We're going to kind of get into some Rebels quickly. I'm just going to talk about it just very quickly, and then we're going to get into a book review of Star Wars Catalyst, which is the prequel of Rogue One that both Jacob and I finished. But as far as Rebels go, episodes 7, 8, and 9, the last 3 episodes. Episode 7 called Iron Squadron, Episode 8 called the Wankatu Job, and Episode 9 called The Inside Man. I'm not going to spoil anything just because Jacob and Gio have both not seen it. Jacob's trying to watch it.
I have time now.
Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of wrap it up in one sentence. These are complete fillers.
Really?
Total fillers.
I knew there was going to be some.
Yeah, and I'm kind of this season is kind of wearing on me a little bit because I know it's 22 episodes, and I know that more fillers are coming, and it's unfortunate. There is some good stuff in there. We meet a new crew, a couple of kids that are trying to battle the Empire and whatnot. A couple good Kanan and Ezra things. You see a little bit of God, what's the guy that's blue? Thrawn. You see a little bit of Thrawn in there. You also get a big reveal in episode 9 of called an Inside Man. That's why it's called Inside Man. So you'll see that as well. But they didn't do anything for the main story that's going on, which is unfortunate. And it's been a while since we've seen anything with the main storyline. But luckily, next episode they previewed. It's with Mole and Ezra. So we're getting back to the good stuff, which is what I've been waiting for. Hopefully it sticks with that the rest of the season, but being 22 episodes, I know there's going to be a bunch more fillers, which is unfortunate. And the only thing I'd say is they got to use Thrawn more. They got to use him more because they're not using him like they should right now. So
Disney and Lucasfilm need to put out an outlet for people who can catch up on these episodes because there's no, even on demand, they have like only some of them available. Like I need a place where I can go and watch all of them because I need to catch up. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah, all right, well, that's going to wrap up the Rebels. We're going to get into the Catalyst now. Again, this is the prequel of Rogue One, the book, the novel by James Luceno. We will put up a spoiler sign on the podcast if we get into anything serious. I'm going to let Jacob start this off because I know that he was super, super pumped to read this. I caught up just so we can both talk about it at the same time. So Jacob, without further ado, man,
Well,
go for it.
listen to it,
Yeah.
I should say, because we do the audiobooks.
Yes, we do the audiobooks.
No time to actually read them, so every second I'm in the car, I try to put it on. And it's actually titled Catalyst, a Rogue One story.
Wow.
It's Star
really
Wars
is.
Catalyst, man.
No,
Star Wars
it's
Catalyst.
literally called
Yeah.
Catalyst.
Well, it
a
is an
Rogue One
anthology,
story.
you know.
I absolutely loved this book, especially leading up to Rogue One. I'm not gonna say that it's absolutely necessary to listen to get ready for
I don't
Rogue
think it
One.
is at all.
I don't think it is.
No.
But I'm telling you,
It helps.
it helps a lot. This book alone has, I didn't think this was possible. My anticipation has risen for Rogue One because now I didn't know who Galen Erso was. I didn't know who Orson Krennic was. Now I feel like I know these characters just as much as I know like a Tarkin or somebody like that. I feel like I know these characters now, and I've grown attached to some of them, and it's crazy knowing all this backstory going into Rogue One. Like you said, Jake, you don't have to listen to this to enjoy Rogue One. I guarantee you they're gonna make it clear what the situation is, what the relationships are, where the characters are at that time. But I bet you it'll make the movie a lot more better just knowing this information going in. And right off the bat, my probably my favorite thing about this is the character of Galen Erso. He's very unique in a way. He's very different than any Star Wars character I've ever got to know. Like he doesn't talk much. He's a thinker. He's a genius. He's like the leading scientist in kyber crystal research.
Yep.
And I mean, this isn't a spoiler. It's in like the synopsis of the book, right? That he's like they're trying to get him to weaponize the
kyber crystal for the project.
Well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but he doesn't really know that that's what he's doing. He's just researching the power.
He's tricked into
converting it
yes.
into power. And yeah, just seeing him and his relationship with Orson Krennic, because it's weird. They're not really friends, but they're like acquaintances and colleagues
for a long time.
But they kind of, the way things happen, they kind of become friends in a way.
They have respect for each other.
And they have a pretty strong professional relationship. And man, this book, like, I was like really worried listening to this whole book. It's like a thriller in its own way, because you know what's going on both sides, and like nothing is as it seems to each character, and it's a thrill ride the whole way through because you don't know what's going to happen. I was like on the edge of my seat near the end of the book because I was like kind of scared for certain characters. And yeah, it's a great listen, I should say, not read. But those are my overall thoughts. I think it has a plethora of information that gets you really ready for Rogue One.
Yeah, I agree with all your points. I think that it's definitely a fantastic character study of a number of characters. You get Galen Erso. It's all about him, and Orson Krennic as well. It's their story, and it does a fantastic job of giving us a backstory of these two and where they've come from, how they kind of risen through the ranks, and where they are at the beginning of Rogue One. You also get a little bit of Saw Gerrera in there.
Yeah, Saw Gerrera. You get some Tarkin.
Tarkin as well was a big thing in this movie, and I think that. Well, go ahead.
Well, no, in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and then also Lyra,
his wife.
Yeah,
and I was gonna get. She's my favorite part of the book.
Lyra Erso,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, she and she's not in the trailers for the movie.
No, she's in it a little bit when
Is she?
when Jin is young.
Okay.
When she's young.
Okay.
I think it's when Galen gets taken in the movie, but we'll get to that. But as far as Lyra goes, she is like the heart and soul of Galen.
Oh, definitely.
And that's what I enjoyed so much about it. It's just because he always went back to her, and she was always just kind of this rock that was always there and able to be there. And then you throw in the Jin factor, and you see the birth of Jin Erso and the kind of growing as she gets younger. And there's a whole bunch of pieces going on. It jumps in time a lot. There's a lot of time in between, but it's a great book. And like Jacob said, it's a thriller, and there's so many things going on. You're always wondering what's going to happen next and kind of what's going on. I love the Tarkin stuff as well. Kind of seeing that that's who Krennic really wants to be. He wants to kind of be ahead of him, but he kind of stays back. He's like, I can't do that. And
exactly.
So it's very interesting, kind of relationships going on in the book.
Yeah, it's just Lyra was a great character in the book, and we see Orson and we see Galen and we see Jin and we see Lyra in the Rogue One trailers. So it's not a spoiler. They make it out. They all make it out of Catalyst. So I'm curious what happens in that time between where the book leaves off and Rogue One, because there's a lot of time. And also, where's it going to pick up with Rogue One? I have some speculations of what's going to happen in Rogue One.
You want to say it?
I mean, yeah, it's not spoiler. I mean, speculation.
Go ahead.
So, all right. Actually, we might need to throw the spoiler banner up.
We'll throw the spoiler banner up.
Gio, do you mind?
No.
Okay, so basically, long story short, by the end of the book, Orson Krennic is hell-bent on finding the Ursos, and he hates Lyra.
Oh, yeah.
He hates her. He thinks it's her fault why Galen picked up and left, and because they left, he kind of missed. He was competing with Tarkin to become the head of the Death Star, and because the Ursos left, he missed out on that. He got stripped of his rank, and he got demoted, and he's pissed, and he's hell-bent on finding them. So I think when Rogue One, the beginning of Rogue One, I think he finds them, and I think he kills Lyra.
Well, I think we've seen it in the trailers when he's walking up in the grass, and they're on that distant planet in the middle of nowhere.
I'm curious, though, if he kills Lyra. I think Lyra's going to die in the beginning of Rogue One.
I think so, too.
But what is Jin the motivation to get Galen to continue his work on the Death Star then? I mean, that would make sense, right?
I think so. I think Jin, I think she was almost raised in prison after being captured.
Yeah,
in
after
Rogue One.
Yeah, exactly.
And from the beginning of Rogue
Pretty
One.
much, yeah. And maybe then is when we find out why she has a damn British accent, because her parents don't.
Well, Galen kind of has this...
Not really,
Well, Mads
though.
Mikkelsen, kind of has this funky accent.
But it's not British, though. So I think whoever she's raised around must have a British accent. I mean, that would make sense. But anyways, so that's pretty much the main thing to take away from Catalyst, is that Orson's pissed, and he is going to try to find the Ursos, and he does find them. We see that in the Rogue One trailers. But yeah, I think... Unfortunately, and this is why I was scared throughout Catalyst. I thought Lyra was going to die in Catalyst. See, I didn't know she was in the Rogue One trailer, so I was like really worried about that. And then because I really like her, she's a great character, but I think she's going to get killed in Rogue One.
I think so too.
And it sucks, but and see, to us, it's going to be much more of an impact because we know the character now. To like people who don't listen or read to the book, they're not going to know who she is. So it's like they'll know she's her mom, but like they won't know the character. But yeah, that's my big speculation for Rogue One.
Oh, it's a good
taken
one,
from Catalyst.
It's a good one. Yeah. So now that you finished Catalyst, what's up next?
Man, okay. So what I plan to do, unless they have a new one coming out sometime soon, what I plan to do is to go back and do them all in chronological order. So that would mean I think Dark Disciple would be the first one that I do. So unless they have a new one coming out in the next couple of weeks or a month or something, I'm probably going to go back and do Dark Disciple and then do it in chronological order until maybe a new one comes out. I'll do that, take a break from the chronological order. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So Dark Disciple. What about you? I know you have like 5 of them already.
Well, yeah, I actually stopped midway through Lost Stars to finish to do Catalyst.
So you're going to finish Lost Stars?
Yeah, and now that we're on Lost Stars, I'm just going to touch on it a little bit.
Go ahead, yeah, give it a little mini halfway review.
It's a very, very interesting book, and the beginning of it, I wasn't into it so much because it was written in a way that didn't feel like Star Wars.
Okay.
And but as there was a certain time jump that happens, and it turned into this completely different book that I was just so excited to keep listening to over and over again. It's basically about star-crossed lovers, lost stars. There's 2 kids that are in the Imperial Army.
Oh, really?
It's based on 2 kids that are in the Imperial.
So it's like romance?
Almost kind of in a way, but there's also a bunch of stuff going on. So one of the things that just happened, and it spans over years. Okay. But there are 2 characters that are inside the Imperial Army. One of them is a TIE fighter pilot. The other works on a Star Destroyer, and they're both away during the destruction of the Death Star, the first Death Star.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
about them coming back together, and
Really?
it gives an outside perspective of everything going
That's
on in the Imperial Army.
See, I was gonna do Lost Stars because it's Claudia Gray, and
Yes.
Bloodline. Even after Catalyst, Bloodline is still my favorite. I love that book so much. I'm excited for Lost Stars, but I didn't know who it involved.
Yeah, no, it's all brand new characters.
Okay.
You get a little bit Tarkin in there because these two
Makes
characters,
sense.
they love Tarkin. He's like,
Oh, really?
He's like the hero
Yeah.
that they want to be. But it's an interesting perspective because it gives an outside perspective of everything going on in the Empire.
Now I'm even more intrigued, and
Yeah.
especially that Claudia Gray wrote it because
I'm halfway through. It's about kids. There's some adults in there, but it's mainly about these kids growing up in the Empire. You know, loving the Empire, growing up on a world that is
really
under the Empire's
interesting.
control. So I like it so far. I'm looking forward to some big twists and turns at the end because I've heard great things about the book.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to read the rest.
You got to do Ahsoka.
Oh, that's the one I'm doing after Lost Stars.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to do that after Lost Stars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to Dark Disciple, and I'm a fan of Asajj Ventress, so I think
agree.
it's about her pretty much.
It is her and her apprentice.
Yeah,
or
something like that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's going to wrap up the Padawan podcast today. Talked about a whole bunch of stuff. Before we get out of here, I'm going to thank Jacob and Gio for joining us. Gio, where can they find you online, man?
Find me on Twitter at GioRamos24 and check out apocalypsemovies.com. And thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, always, man. Always. Jacob, what about you?
Gio, which book are you going to do next, man?
Is there one about Darth Maul?
There's a comic book.
Yeah, we read that already, though.
He didn't, though.
He didn't? Oh, there is a comic book. It's Son of Dathomir,
Son
right?
of Dathomir.
Yeah.
I'll check that one out.
Well, anyways, you can find me, Jacob Bartley, on Twitter at JacobBartley_. And on this YouTube channel, please subscribe and hit a like button. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you can find me, Jake Brilliant, on Twitter and Instagram at Qui-Gon Jake. Make sure you give us a like, share, give us all that good stuff. We're trying to do big things here. Check out Movie News, Padawan Podcast, our movie reviews. Oscar season is here, so we're going to be trying to put out a whole bunch of reviews now that school is finally over.
Yes.
So look out for all that good stuff. Again, thank you for joining us. Until next time, may the Force be with you.